Joining us now, Art Laffer, economist, former member of Reagan's Economic Advisory Board. He's a numbers man, but he also knows campaigns. He joins us now. Art, how are you?
Just thank you very much, Laura. Very, very well.
So my view on this all these years after 9/11 is that the American people, they just want a few things. They don't want to be bothered by the government. They don't want the government to get into all their business, but they want a government that works for them. And so far, in these almost 2 years of Trump being in office, the improvements to the lives of the average Americans, from what I can gather from my callers coast to coast, Art, are astounding. And those anecdotes of personal life improvement, I think, are going to win the day in this election ultimately, if they're told right. Your view on this?
Yeah, I think you're completely correct on that. I mean, I was with the president last Thursday, and I said that this is the best single administration, first term of administration, I think, ever in history. And you're not even halfway through it. I mean, it is amazing how much he has accomplished on the economy. It's just incredible, and the results are starting to come in, Laura, and it's very nice to see them. We have a long way to go, don't get me wrong. But what he has done, I mean, with the tax bill, I could go through that, and it's just amazing how that's worked. Deregulation, I mean, he got rid of the individual mandate. I mean, how cool is that? He's got a great new Fed chairman who's so much better than Bernanke or Yellen, and this quantitative easing thing of keeping interest rates at 0% is out the window. And it's just an astoundingly good first term, and he's not even halfway through it.
This is what Obama said on Friday. Let's listen.
When you hear about this economic miracle that's been going on, when the job numbers come out, monthly job numbers, and suddenly Republicans are saying it's a miracle, I have to kind of remind them, actually, those job numbers are the same as they were in 2015, in 2016. And anyway, I digress.
What's the truth there, Art?
Well, he literally had the worst recovery of any post-recovery president ever. I mean, if you compare the success of the Obama administration from the Great Recession, which was, I think, largely due to George W. Bush, it's the worst recovery ever. And, Kennedy did much better, Reagan did a lot better, and Trump is doing a lot better. And the returns around, I mean, so far in the Trump administration, forgive me for being numbers, but the growth under Trump in the first year in office is better than any year in Obama's 8 years in office. I mean, it's just astounding. The stock market, everything else is just doing very, very nicely. And Obama just didn't have it, and he didn't do it, and Trump is doing it.
And the blue-collar jobs that, again, Barack Obama said we're not coming back, that Trump can't wave a magic wand and say, I'm going to renegotiate these trade deals and the jobs are coming back. Obama's point in 2016 was basically this is a fantasy. He's selling you a fantasy. But what are we seeing with blue-collar jobs today, Art?
Yeah, what we're seeing is that Trump on the trade stuff. Now, I've talked with him on that, and he is using the tariffs and all this threats to get them to come and negotiate. And, I'm not a negotiator and I'm not a strategist, Laura, at all. Mm-hmm. But, I've watched it, and it's working. I mean, he's going to get a new NAFTA very soon, which will lower tariffs, lower non-tariff barriers, increase free trade dramatically, which will improve the U.S. economy. Amazing. Then you're going to get China, Europe coming in on it. I am very optimistic about much better free trade agreements with the rest of the world than we had before.
Well, and again, this is something that Obama said he was going to do, that NAFTA had to be revisited. Hillary Clinton was open to, looking at some of these trade deals. And yet, if Obama was such a smart guy, he's the smartest person ever, he's so smart, well, where was that effort? My friends in Mexico said they have never had, in the last 25 years, more engagement from a U.S. leader than they've had with the Trump team. Never had it, not during Obama, not during Bush. And now the Trump people, it might be ironic to people given his view on Mexico on the wall, but they're actually engaging.
I know, it's amazing, and it's really working very well. But I think what you have to do, I mean, when you look at Obama, he's very book smart, very legal smart, all of that, but he's not very practical smart. He does not understand that you can't tax an economy into prosperity. He doesn't understand that rich people I mean, the poor people can spend themselves into wealth. He doesn't get that. He has these models in his mind from the academic world, and it's not the real world. If you tax people who work and you pay people who don't work, do I need to say the next sentence to you? You're going to get a lot of people not working. And he didn't understand it. He raised taxes, and he increased the payments to people for not working. He had the biggest stimulus package ever. I mean, it's $1.5 trillion. I mean, that's just crazy. And that's all going to be on the backs of the taxpayers. And, of course, Trump is just the opposite. I mean, he's done the deregulation. He's done the tax cuts. Obama did tax increases. He's gotten rid of the ACA mandate. He's gotten all of these things. He's gotten a zero. Who's going to invest in a project at zero interest rates? But when you have mortgage rates as low as they were, no one's going to put risk capital into the housing market. And so therefore, under Obama, we had the 8 worst years of new housing starts per 10,000 population ever. I mean, and that's the result of Obama not getting it, not having a clue. And it's understandable why he would feel that way. He's never worked in an incentive model himself, ever. All Trump has ever done in his life is worked in an incentive model. He understands incentives. And it's just really the way the president's really working out so well on economics.
What about making the tax cuts permanent, or even going for another more targeted middle-class tax cut?
Yeah, well, I'm after growth. I mean, that's what my job is, Laura.
Yep.
And frankly, I don't care if they're middle class. I like to have the highest marginal rates really reduced. I like the corporate rate reduced. I like the capital gains tax rate reduced. No, I'm pushing right now to index capital gains for inflation. That would be really helpful to the economy.
Should have always been done.
Yeah, and these are the things that really drive me. And when you make rich people incentivized. I mean, Jack Kemp put it, let me just say that you can't love jobs and hate job creators. And, you really want to make it so that this economy hums and really works well. And that making the tax cuts permanent is a great idea. I think it should be done. I think it should have been done right at the very beginning.
Right, shouldn't have sunset it.
Yeah, it shouldn't have sunset, but you didn't have any choice. You couldn't get the 60 votes. Mm-hmm. But, I think it's great now that we can do it, and I think there are a lot of other things we can do. And I'm very excited, and I just hope that you're going to tell me today, Laura, that the Republicans are going to keep the House. Is that right?
Well, what I think, Art, is that the president has to personalize this election. I think you got to take it away from the side issues of Mueller and focus right on the American people. I work for Reagan. You work for Reagan. We understand that there was a message of the day and there was message discipline, and every cabinet agency that had any involvement on the issue of the day was there reinforcing, pounding out that narrative. That has to happen between now and Election Day. It's critical.
And I think it's going to happen, don't you? I mean, I hear it all over the place. I mean, people are very excited about the economy, and from what I hear, now maybe that's just because my Tennessee perspective, but I'm very excited about this election. And when I talk to people on the QT, they tell me there's a good chance the Republicans will keep the House.
Well, I certainly hope so. But the president's numbers have got to be high. I don't put everything in polls, but they're not nothing either. And they were pretty accurate going into some of these special elections and primaries. Pretty much every poll that I saw was on the big contests were pretty accurate. So President Trump's numbers are now down to about 36%. I think people just have to have a sense, Art, that things are calming down. If there's frenzy, it's on the other side.
Well, that's true.
This is a steady hand in the White House, and it's a steady hand for the American people.
Yeah, well, it's a steady hand when it's not removing barriers.
Yep.
And it's removing barriers, it's lowering tax rates, it's getting interest rates to be market determined rather than some professor from Princeton determined. I mean, I love the way he's going in the direction of the economy. But then again, this guy is really a good businessman. He ran a great company. He's an international businessman. He believes in free trade, and I think all of those things. And plus, by the way, Laura, he's hired my best friend as being his chief economist,
Kevin?
Larry Kudlow.
Oh, Larry, of course.
Larry Kudlow, of course.
I know. You guys are your close pet buddies.
But we've been best friends forever.
Oh, I love Larry.
Amazing. He's just great, and he's so good at this.
No, he's so good at it. And I've almost convinced Larry on all the trade stuff. I've been arguing trade with him for 20 years. I'm like, I said, Larry, you're a lot smarter than I am, but you tell me how we're going to beat China otherwise. Because you pay someone $2 an hour, how are we ever going to have a blue-collar workforce in this country? And never got an answer. So, anyway,
well, what can I tell you? But Larry is the one thing amazing about Larry, if you really honestly, Laura, is he really wanted the job.
So did Lighthizer. Lighthizer's like 72 or 3. He was down there, working at his law firm, but had a place down in Florida. And Lighthizer's like, I'm coming back. It's one more role. Hey, Art, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Come back soon. Art Laffer, economist. He is a numbers guy, but he can tell the good story, too. So it's got to be a positive, forward-looking story for America. It's your future. What are you going to do about it? Don't go away. Thanks for listening to this podcast excerpt of The Laura Ingraham Show. If you'd like to receive podcasts of our complete shows, go to lauraingraham.com and sign up to become a member of Laura 365. Our Laura 365 members get commercial-free streams and podcasts of our shows every day we're on the air. And also, you can listen to the last 30 days of The Laura Ingraham Show. Be ahead of the curve. Join Laura 365.